When we have no time or when we are super busy with work or kids, we think, oh, we have no time to make dinner. Then our immediate thought is we better get takeout. But the reality is by the time I've ordered the takeout and sent dude to go pick it up or have it delivered, I could have made dinner and had dinner on the table. I'm sure many of you have felt the exact same way. Well, here are 4 quick favorites that will help you get lunch or dinner on the table in no time. I'm starting with 3 stalks of green onions, and they are also called scallions or spring onions. I'm just going to take off the bottom, and I'm just going to cut these into about 2-inch pieces. And these ones I'm going to cut down a little bit. Just cut them in half, because they'll take longer to cook than the dark green pieces. I'm going to get my frying pan heated up on medium high, actually, because I want to fry up a couple of eggs before I get started with the noodles. We're going to serve the egg on top of the noodles. Okay, I'm adding a tablespoon of vegetable oil. I'm just going to season my eggs with a little bit of salt. You can also do this recipe in a wok. Again, I would just fry my eggs first, but I find frying my eggs in the frying pan I'm more used to, so I like to use the frying pan for this recipe. I'm going to remove the eggs. And I like it crispy on the bottom. You can make the eggs however you like. We're just going to set that aside. Okay, turning my pan back on, and I'm going to put it to medium-low. Adding another tablespoon of vegetable oil. And we're going to get our green onions going. In the meantime, I also have a pot of water going to get the noodles cooked. And we're just going to let this sit and cook until the green onions get a bit brown in color. So get some caramelization on there, and this will also just flavor the oil. These are the noodles we are using. They are a medium-sized kind of wheat noodle. You can use thin noodles, or you can use knife-cut noodles that we have used in the past. You'll find that this recipe is actually very similar to shallot noodles, garlic noodles, chili garlic noodles, except it's simpler because I don't use as many ingredients for it, because we want something even quicker than those ones, and those ones are pretty quick. All right, so once your green onion is starting to look like this, a little bit caramelized, but it's still green, I'm adding a teaspoon of sugar, a tablespoon of soy sauce, a tablespoon of dark soy sauce, and a tablespoon of oyster sauce. Ooh. We're just going to heat that through, and that's it. That's your sauce. I'm going to turn off the heat. These 3 sauces do have different flavors, so if you didn't have one, you can always substitute with a little bit more of the other. All right, the noodles only take 3 minutes to cook, so that's why they're super fast. Even instant noodles take 3 to 4 minutes. So I'm just going to add this straight to the frying pan. And if you wanted to serve more than just the 2 servings that we're making here, you can always just double the recipe. All right. So I'm just going to toss the noodles in the sauce, and it's going to be, oh my goodness, it looks so good already. All right. Dude hasn't had lunch, so he's going to be super hungry. I'm surprised actually he's not hangry yet.
How do you know
are
I'm
you?
not? Thank you.
All right. Okay, and then we're going to top with the egg. And we'll top with a little bit of the green onion right on top for you. All right. I have half an onion that I'm just going to chop up. You can totally use this recipe with steak if you like. I would use a flank steak because I find that very tender. You can cut it very thinly. But using ground beef is just gonna have to do for now. I also have some very wimpy green onions here, so I'm using 4 very wimpy ones, but you can just use 2. And I'm just gonna cut up the white part because I want to add that to the onion when I cook it. I don't really like the rawness of the white part of green onions. And the rest of it I'm gonna use as garnish. Moving on to the sauce, I have a very small piece of ginger that I'm gonna grate, and you want about 2 teaspoons. More or less is totally up to you. I'm just gonna grate this into my measuring cup because that's where I'm gonna make my sauce. I also have this monster-sized piece of garlic.
What is going on there?
I think I bought elephant garlic instead of regular garlic, so they have these giant cloves. So I'm just gonna use 1 giant clove of garlic, but you can use 2 cloves or more or less, depending on whether or not you like garlic. And I'm just gonna grate this right into my measuring cup as well. You can use a garlic press if you want, or you can chop it up by hand. It's totally up to you. Using a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. It's just regular soy sauce. 1/4 cup of brown sugar. About a tablespoon of mirin. And mirin is a Japanese sweet cooking wine. And a tablespoon of sesame oil. Okay, just stir it all together, making sure that the sugar is dissolved. So this sauce is like sweet and garlicky and savory and gingery all at once. This could be so good. All right, set this aside. We're gonna get cooking. That was it. Okay, I'm heating up my pan on medium. And if you have a wok would be really great to use to stir up all of the ingredients. But people have been asking me to use my large frying pan to show them how I maneuver the food on a frying pan versus a wok. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm using my cast iron frying pan. And same sort of philosophy in terms of cooking. With a wok is you wait for that puff of, or that whiff of smoke to kind of indicate that it's hot enough, and then you add your oil. So I am using a tablespoon of neutral oil, cooking oil. I'm using, I think, vegetable oil today. I'm just gonna add my onions and the white parts of the green onion. And we're gonna cook that through. It'll take about a minute. We just want the onion to be translucent. And if you want to add some spiciness, you can add some chili flakes. I'm just using a large pinch of it. It's probably about 1/2 teaspoon or 1/4 teaspoon. You can add as little or as much as you like, or you can omit it altogether. Okay, and I'm adding about 1.5 pounds of lean ground beef. And you can use whatever ground beef you like. Break it up so that you can cook it evenly. It's going to take about 3 to 5 minutes to make sure that the beef is cooked through. Okay, once the beef has done cooking, you can see that it has released a lot of liquid. So we're going to burn that liquid off, but before I do that, I'm just going to add the sauce because all of that extra liquid is also going to burn off. It smells so good, you guys. I wish you guys could smell this. So we're just going to cook this until all that liquid burns off, and the sauce will absorb into the beef, and the oil that is in there, or the fat, will also crisp up some of the fats so that you get all this like just delicious texture when you eat this in your rice bowl. So I'm just going to let it simmer until all of the liquid, well, most of the liquid has disappeared or evaporated. Ground beef is so versatile, but often what I find is when I'm searching for ground beef recipes, I come up with meatloaf or meatballs or hamburger. But really, you can add whatever flavors you want to ground beef, and it can be whatever you want it to be. And it's so much more exciting than meatloaf, don't you think? All right, so most of that liquid is gone, and now you see that it's just mostly fat. So I do want it to crisp up a little bit more. I was stirring occasionally to try to get that liquid to burn off faster. And now we're going to let it cook for another minute or two to get that meat crisped up. I don't know if you all can hear the difference in the sound that the frying makes versus earlier when we were just evaporating the liquid. You can hear the sizzling of the meat in the fat, and that's what you want. So we're probably at that point now where we can take it off the heat. If you want it to be a little bit crispier, you can certainly cook it a little bit longer, but I think this is good. All right, I'm turning it off. So during the cooking, the sesame oil aroma would have been burned off. So I'm gonna add another couple of teaspoons of sesame oil to add that aroma back into the dish. Give it a stir. Then we'll plate it up with some rice for Dude. And don't forget the green onions. Adding that. Stop. Just stir that in. Be back with the rice. All right. I'm gonna top it with some roasted sesame seeds. A little bit of garnish. There you have it. I'm gonna start with half of an onion. And the smaller you cut up your onion, the faster it's gonna cook. So I'm gonna try to cut this into little pieces, minced, I guess, or just chopped, whatever you guys like. I find that chopped is better for the mouthfeel when everything's about the same size. I'm also using 2 green onions, and I'm gonna chop up the white part so that I can cook it with the other onion because I like this part cooked more. And the dark green parts I'm just gonna use as garnish. 2 cloves of garlic that I'm just gonna chop up because, well, there's not much else going on. If you don't wanna chop it up, you can always run it through a garlic press. Just chopping this up into, I guess, minced texture. And if you don't wanna use garlic, you don't have to use garlic. Actually, you don't have to use any of the aromatics in here if you don't want to. It'll still be a delicious fried rice. I have a lot of fried rice recipes actually in my cookbook, Chinese Homestyle. If you want to check those out, there are quite a few different flavor profiles in there. We've got like a pineapple fried rice. We have my usual simple fried rice using Chinese sausages. Yeah, just check it out. You know, I want to say just use 8 slices of bacon, but really, why stop at 8? There's only 11 slices in here, I counted earlier. I'm just gonna use the whole thing. You can just use 8 slices if you want, but why keep 3 slices of bacon in the fridge? That makes no sense to me.
You know, because...
Okay, so I'm just gonna slice this up. So a package of bacon here is probably about 3/4 pound. I'm using 4 eggs. And I'm going to lightly beat the eggs. And that's it. Now I'm gonna go get my wok and get started. Okay, setting my wok on medium-high heat. And if you don't have a wok, you can always use a large frying pan to do the exact same thing. I like using a wok because it's big and I can stir all of my ingredients really easily. As soon as you see a wisp of smoke, it's hot enough, adding 2 tablespoons of cooking oil. I'm using corn oil today, adding my eggs. When your wok is nicely seasoned and when you add oil, when the wok is hot, things should not stick. You just want to cook your eggs until they are mostly cooked through, and then you can add it back to the bowl that you had the eggs in, because you're just gonna put it back in the fried rice anyways, and it will cook through. Take a look at that. No sticking. Okay, adding the bacon. And we're gonna cook this through until the right doneness you like. I like mine kind of not too crispy, a little bit soft still, but you can cook it to the exact texture that you like. All right, I'm getting to the point of the texture I like. Fully cooked bacon, tender, but not super crispy. I'm gonna push that aside. I'm gonna remove some of this fat. Okay, I'm gonna leave the remaining bacon fat and adding my onions and the white and light green parts of the green onion right into the middle. I had turned down the heat to about a low. Let's turn it up a little bit. We want the onions to cook through, so maybe about 2 minutes, just until they are translucent. Okay, adding my garlic, and we only want to cook that for about 30 seconds, so until the garlic is fragrant. I wish you guys could smell this, so good. Bacon, onion, garlic, what's not to like? I am adding about 4 to 5 cups of leftover rice. And this is cold rice. I find that when it's leftover and cold, it's more dry and therefore can absorb more of the flavors of whatever you're cooking into the rice. When you use freshly cooked rice, the rice is moist, it doesn't absorb the flavor as much, and your rice will get mushy. So let's not do that. I'm just gonna move this around. And we want the rice to kind of separate into individual grains and heat it through. I'm also adding 2 teaspoons of soy sauce and 2 teaspoons of oyster sauce. If you don't have oyster sauce, you can just substitute with soy sauce. So then that would be a total of 4 teaspoons of soy sauce. Just gonna stir this in. Try to break up some of these clumps of rice. And as the heat gets through the rice, it will just kind of naturally come apart. So that took about 3 minutes to just kind of get the rice separated from being in clumps. And now I'm gonna add my eggs back in and break it up. And if you wanted to add veggies to this, you totally can too. I'm choosing not to. We're gonna have veggies on the side, but you can add a handful of peas. You can wilt some spinach in there or lettuce. And that is it. I'm gonna get these started on the stove. So each one looks like this. And one is probably not enough per serving. So I'm gonna make 3 of them. That would be 2 servings. Well, that's what I think anyways. They only take 3 minutes to cook. So in that 3 minutes, you're gonna get your sauce ready to go, and your snack or lunch will be ready in no time. Okay, I've got 4 cloves of garlic. I'm just gonna run them through my garlic press because I want them to be really finely chopped or minced. You can totally do it by just chopping stuff up or chopping them up. You can use as little or as much garlic as you like.
Kind of like the garlic noodles.
Yeah, if you want more, definitely add more. And if you don't want as much, don't add as much. It's super simple. Like, you're the one eating this, right? So just do what you like. Okay, I have 2 green onions here. So lately I've been cutting the green onions about there, and I've been planting them in my garden because green onions will actually grow back. I'm gonna chop these up and add them to my garlic. Okay, and all of this is also going into the bowl. And you want a bowl that's gonna be big enough to put your noodles in and to toss after, because we're making the sauce right in this bowl. All I'm doing here actually is heating up oil. So I'm gonna heat that up on high, adding a 1/4 cup of cooking oil, whatever oil you like. And meanwhile, while that's heating up, I'm gonna chop up the rest of my ingredients. I've got a little bit of cilantro here. If you don't like cilantro, you don't have to use it. This will be used as garnish at the end. And I have a cucumber. Now, cucumbers are also great for kind of reducing or giving you a little bit of reprieve from anything spicy. So I thought it would be good to add to the noodles.
Oh, and great for texture too.
Yeah. But totally up to you. If you don't want to add cucumbers, you don't have to do that either. Just want to cut these into matchsticks. I'm just using half of a seedless cucumber. We actually call these English cucumbers here. I don't know why. Okay, when your oil's hot, turn it off. Didn't take long. It took like, I don't know, a minute. All right, you're gonna pour this oil over your green onions and your garlic in the bowl. That will cook it a little bit. Okay, we're making the rest of the sauce. The noodles are done. Adding a tablespoon of ketchup mayonnaise, which is a dark sweet soy sauce. And if you don't have this, you can just use regular soy, but add some sugar. Probably about equal parts.
But it really does have a distinct flavor.
It's almost molasses-like. Adding a tablespoon of regular soy, a tablespoon of oyster sauce. Now, if you don't like oysters, it actually doesn't taste like oysters. I don't like oysters either. Sorry, this is a brand new bottle. Anyways, or if you're allergic to shellfish, oysters, like this oyster sauce is made with oysters, but you can get ones that are made with mushrooms. So totally vegan. 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. Okay, about a tablespoon of roasted sesame seeds. And this is the part. We're using the chili oil that almost killed dude in Dan Dan noodles.
Oh, yeah.
And we're gonna use, how much should we use, dude?
I don't know, not enough to kill me?
About like half a teaspoon?
Yeah.
Like this?
Yeah, it's really potent.
All right. So whatever chili oil you guys are all using, it totally depends on how much you want to add. It's totally up to you. Okay, we're just gonna give this a stir. And our noodles are ready to go, right? So they're going straight in here.
Do you need another utensil?
There you go. Ready? In a lot of my noodle dishes, a common request is that, oh, can't we make more sauce? Absolutely make more sauce if it's not enough for you. But this one makes a lot of sauce and not like, there's not as much noodles as I would normally put in a recipe with that amount of sauce. So these are gonna be super saucy. That's it, dude. Oh, one more. And just give that a stir. Oh my goodness, look at that. Looks so good. Oh my goodness, it smells so good, you guys. Now, you can use as little or as much cucumbers as you like. I'm maybe use about half of it. I'm gonna toss it in there, along with about half the cilantro that I chopped up. Toss that up, and then that's it. Can you believe it?
I can believe it.
This is, yeah, it could be a snack if you just want a snack for afternoon, or it could be lunch. You can make it with some, cook up some ground pork or ground beef and add it to the sauce after you've cooked it and just toss everything together.